Hi guys, now the road to electric is dooming ever closer, so we're going to mix things up a little bit, and I don't mean hybrid. I mean we're going to use our Hyundai EV to go racing in our petrol Hyundai Coupe. So this is the Hyundai IONIQ 5, the latest addition to their EV fleet, and we're going to put it to its test, so stay tuned. Although the race weekend wasn't quite what we expected with the petrol race car, it's now time to review the IONIQ 5, the EV Hyundai. So let's start off with some quirks and features. This one behind me is the Ultimate, which means it has a 73 kilowatt battery, all-wheel drive, eco and tech pack, and a twin motor which produces a 305 brake horsepower and 605 newton meters of torque, which means even though it weighs just over 2 tons, it will give you a 0 to 60 time of 5.2 seconds. This also means we get the 20-inch alloys.
You also get these awesome pop-out door handles, mosaic style rear and front lights, so notice a theme?
The mosaic theme also follows through to the charging point with this little mosaic button here that we press,
which will open up the charging point with the standard and CCS options,
telling us how much charge we have and also when it is charging. One of the really quirky features with the IONIQ 5 comes in this little carry case, and it is related to the charging point, I promise. It is this little contraption, and you must be wondering, what does it do? Well, here's a little clue. This plugs into here. Once you've unclipped it, you have a 3-pin plug inside, which means if your phone battery is running a little bit low on the track side, you can just plug it in to charge. But when we need to switch things up and actually charge the car, this has an 800V battery system which gives you ultra fast charging. What that means? 10 to 80% in just 18 minutes. Now that is super impressive, but what actually is this like to charge in real life?
We were using an at-home 3-pin plug, so we plugged it in overnight ready for a trip the next day. Starting at 48%, it predicted 39 hours until full. 18 hours later, it was time to unplug and the moment of truth. We got up to 74% and 187 to 176 miles of range, depending on the mode, so pretty accurate.
Now the Hyundai does look like a concept car, and it can do quite a few cool things, like this. Pretty creepy, right? Now this model will do 310 miles to a full charge. We all know real life with EVs can be a little bit different to those factory settings, but we do know people that have got over 368. Now for someone with a heavy right foot, how did we get on?
We wanted to test the different modes, so first of all, sport. On a 50-mile mixed road journey, we got 3.1 miles per kilowatt, and then when cruising around the city for a few miles in normal, we got 3.8. With a 45-mile trip in eco, we started with 129 miles. Getting 5.6 miles per kilowatt, we ended the journey on 70 miles left. So it was pretty accurate considering my heavy right foot.
The IONIQ 5 is one of the larger cars in Hyundai's range, which means we expect things like a lot of space. Now what is the boot actually like? We put that to the test. As you can see, we can fit 3 of our tyres for the race car in here with a little bit of poor Tetris skills. Now we have had to put one in the back seats because there isn't quite the depth in the boot, but there is plenty of space for day-to-day life. And as you can see in the rear, there's plenty of space for a tyre, definitely another adult, and me. Into the front, it is a super comfortable place to be. It's really open with lots of space, especially storage here, there and everywhere. You also get additions like mood lighting, heated seats, an awesome 12.3-inch display screen. That's just for your media. You then have another screen in front of you with all your driving data, plus heads-up display. And even better, to enjoy your music and radio on that journey, you have Bose speakers. What more could you ask for? Well, I'll tell you what you could. The tech pack that this one has got is awesome, especially these seats. The front has relaxation seats and they're also memory, which means when you get in, they move forwards and backwards. You also get some other really cool features such as surround view mirror, parking assist, I need that one, and blind spot mirrors. These were a thing that took a little bit of getting used to, but once you stick your indicator on, it shows you down the car in your blind spot, which is really useful on a motorway. You also get an eco pack as standard on the Ultimate, which includes things like a heat pump and battery heating. And if you have little bits of concerns about the battery life of this EV, you get an 8-year or 100,000 mile warranty with Hyundai.
So next, what is it actually like to drive?
Although inside does feel very much like a concept car with the amount of space and tech that we have, the nicest thing we do have is a start button. There's just something about a start button that just gives you that reassurance, I think. So let's get to the driving. Just as expected, the road noise on this is super quiet. And the suspension, especially in Eco, is lovely. It is matching up to those relaxation seats because you can really lay back and enjoy yourself and just relax on the drive. You don't need to stress out. Safety features like the blind spot assist, actually when you get used to them, really do come in handy. There are a couple of things that I would change. I'm not a huge fan of lane assist. I think sometimes it can get confused with old markings in the tarmac, but it is a thing that is going to come into the future and for majority of drivers will be really helpful. For an over 2-ton car, it actually handles really well, and this is because the steering is well weighted, so you get a really good feel for the car. There's not as much body roll as you would expect for a car of this size, and I think that's all linked to how the chassis is produced really well, but also the battery is mounted quite low down, which means there's a lower centre of gravity. Now you think a bigger car like this, it's not meant for fun spirited drive. However, when you do pop it into sport, you notice not only a shift in power, but a lot more smiles too. And when it is time to slow that speed down, the brake is really firm. There's none of this questioning, cushiony feeling. You know you're going to brake well. It also does have the assisted braking as well, so if you want to put that onto the cruise control, or if you are getting a bit too close to a car, it will beep at you. But that isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's a safety feature for a reason. There can be a massive stress about owning an EV, and there's all the talk of range anxiety. And actually living with the IONIQ 5 for a week, doing things like going to race days, going home, here, there and everywhere, I've actually found that having the bigger range, 310 miles, even if you do only get half a charge overnight because you're doing it off a 3-pin plug, you still have that confidence that you can get to work in time, you can get where you need to go. But also, whenever, realistically, do you do anything more than 300 miles without stopping for a while? This very car, having the Ultimate trim, comes in at around £45,000, which sounds like a lot of money. You've got to remember this has all the additional trims on it. It's got the larger battery, it's got the larger range, it's got the quick charging time. But when you look at the petrol alternatives, it's not really that expensive because it is still brand new. You look at a brand new Audi Q3, Q5, whichever is the closest in size, you're looking over 40 grand easily, especially if you go for those top models. Now, if you do want to look at a slightly cheaper option and you don't need those additional extras, you can just get an SE version, which is 39,000, so you're saving 6 grand already. There is also an in-between with the premium spec, but all you need to do is find which one meets your needs. Hyundai has really pushed out against the rivals of this car because the IONIQ 5 is just spectacular. I mean, you're looking at competitors like the ID4 or even the Skoda Enyaq, and I think this is a better looking car. It does look very cool and it's very eye-catching. Over the course of the race weekend, we got lots of compliments on the car, lots of people looking at it. I think it's quite nice because I know loads of people say cars just get you from A to B, but I mean, do you not want to look good while you're doing it? And if you're trying to save a little bit of battery power, this has a 4-step regenerative braking. So if you hate it and completely don't want to use it, you can turn it fully off. But if you want to use one pedal mode, you have that too. Now it's all controlled by flappy paddles, which those petrol enthusiasts might find a little bit confusing. I mean, I did. But once you work out how they're used, you can just change it as you're driving to be as powerful or as limited as you want it to be. And rather than just trying to find a niche and sticking to it in the EV world with the IONIQ 5, Hyundai have gone out and said, not everyone wants the same things, not everyone wants all these features of an EV. What do people want broadly and what can we change? So they've made it so it can adapt. This can even go down to turning the heads-up display off. A lot of cars can't do that. I love the fact that Hyundai make it so you can personalise the car to have bits and pieces that you want. I really enjoyed having the IONIQ 5 for a week, especially over race weekend. It got such a good reception and I really did love having it. I mean, it's super comfy. We could fit everything we wanted into it, and when I was absolutely shattered on the way home, I could relax. But then on a day-to-day basis, if I did want to kind of have a little bit more fun with it, I could pop it into sport and do that, yet still fit 3 tyres in the back. It really does have a little bit of everything, and that's what makes this car so special, because I know I've brought up before the whole concept theme. I mean, that's what it's all about. Somebody in Hyundai had this idea and then people kept adding to it and this is the result, and the result is awesome. Now, parking isn't exactly my strong point, and the IONIQ 5 has lots of parking tech, so let me just show you.
Once you pop the car into reverse, it will automatically come up with this on your screen in front, showing you your generic parking sensors. Over to the middle screen, you get a camera and a 360 view. But this is the fun part. Pop this little button and you get an augmented reality version.
This actually makes it really easy to see everything that's behind you, in front of you, beside of you. And if you're finding it a little bit tricky just with your mirrors, just stick the indicator on and use the blind spot checks. Works a treat.
But what is the overall verdict?
There we have it. That is my week with the IONIQ 5. I've really enjoyed having this car and actually getting to grips with it, learning all its little sort of quirks and features, and it's been a really fun car to have a play with. It has again opened up my eyes to the world that is electric cars, and slowly but surely they are getting a little bit of confidence, a little bit. We're getting there. I'm still a petrol girl at heart, but this has been an awesome car to have, and a massive thank you to Hyundai for that opportunity. So there we have it. You guys know the drill. To make my journey your journey, like, follow, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!